Okay, so when we were in class, the teacher always takes us to the bathroom like after lesson, after
And this
instruction.
was where? What school was this?
St. James Middle School.
Okay.
So our teacher, Miss Shirley, we were in her class. She always takes us to the bathroom after instructions. We were the last girls in the line to go to the bathroom. Once we got in, this other student we were with noticed it immediately. Like, she went to the stall, noticed it. We went and told Miss Shirley about what we found. She had us waiting there for a while, like waiting for everyone to get there to come check it out. Like 6 or 7 people came and looked at it. Sorry. And then they put us in Mr. Barker's room to come search us. Then they had us get our bags supervised. So once they searched our bags, they found Sharpies in my bag, and that is what they're going off of.
Did you have the bags when you entered the bathroom?
No.
Where were the bags?
They were in the classroom down the hall.
So when you entered the bathroom, no one had any bags?
No one had any bags.
Okay. Okay. Student number 1, is there anything you'd like to add?
No.
You're not?
Oh,
okay.
yes. So when we were waiting, they knew that we took a picture of it and stuff, and we were asking many times to delete it, and they wouldn't allow us to delete it. And yeah, that's basically what I know.
Were police called?
Yes.
And were you guys interrogated?
I don't know when she was interrogated, but after basically 3 hours of me sitting there, had a panic attack that led to an asthma attack. Just sitting there by myself. I was not allowed to call my parents. I was told they were on the way. They weren't. My parents were never called. I was just sitting there begging for my dad to be there. They finally brought me into the room. They hurried me into the room, and I got interrogated by a detective for 5 minutes, and then I was left out there for another hour.
Were you advised that your parents could be present before you said anything?
No, but they did read me my Miranda rights. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to contact a parent.
Did they offer you, when they offered your Miranda rights, did they say that you could call a lawyer?
They, in the Miranda rights, they said I have the right to a lawyer, but I'm still a child, so I don't really understand what the Miranda rights are for or whatever, so I just thought, okay, they're not going to trust me if I just stay silent. They're going to take me away, so I did say stuff to them. I did talk.
Did you say anything that would have incriminated you?
No.
Was there any concrete proof on the school's behalf that you or student 1 had written anything on the wall?
No, they have nothing besides the fact that I own a Sharpie that was in my book bag.
So, you go back, you get your book bag, there's a Sharpie in it. What does the school ultimately do with you? What's their determination in this matter?
There is no determination yet. I am out of school suspended until our hearing October 4th.
Okay. So you're no longer in a classroom?
I'm no longer in a classroom. I'm not allowed on school grounds.
Okay. You're at home?
I'm at home.
Until a hearing can be held?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know who's going to be in that hearing?
I think my mom does. I don't myself.
Okay. Anything else?
I just want to, I don't know, just how poorly they treated us.
Did they treat you like you were a criminal? Did they treat you as though you'd done something wrong?
Yeah. They also, they were just not saying anything. I didn't even know why they had me waiting there for 4 hours. I wasn't even with student number 1 and the other girls. They took me away. I was all by myself, stuck on a bench. The one time I tried to stand up, I got yelled at by the principal,
Okay.
which triggered the asthma attack and panic attack.
And what happened when you left? When I gave you a hug?
Oh yes. While my dad was trying to sign me out, so he did not sign me out yet. I was still in the school's custody. The lady at the front desk grabbed my arm and tried to pull me out of the building.
While I was giving you a hug?
Yeah, while I got a hug from student number 1's mom.
Do you know who the lady at the desk was?
No, I do not. I know she had blonde hair though.
Does she work for the school?
Yes.
She's a school employee.
Yes.
Anything else?
Other than Snapchat.
Well, I know we were wrong with that.
Yeah.
And so why don't you tell me about that?
Do you want to say? You haven't said anything.
So basically, we took a picture of it, and we were and I sent it to my story to show awareness for it because
Didn't publish.
it didn't publicly send though, because there was bad internet at the school, and I was trying to show awareness for it. Guys, this has to stop. We're disrupting the class environment and stuff, and they kind of treated me really bad about it, and they were like, if you don't admit to it, we're gonna get the police involved and you're gonna have criminal charges on you.
So, question for you. You're minors, I know you know that. Have you been through basic civics class?
No.
You've never done a civics class?
Not yet.
Has anyone ever told you about your right to free speech?
No.
No. We're going to talk with your mom about that.
They forced us to write a statement saying that we posted it on our Snapchat story and it sent, or we would have criminal charges on us.
Even
And
though it
did you
didn't send.
do that? Did you post it on your Snapchat?
No.
Even though you didn't, you still wrote the statement.
Yes.
Why do you feel like you wrote the statement?
Because they said that we were gonna have criminal charges on us if we didn't, and that we would be in some serious deep trouble.
Did you feel a lot of pressure to write that statement?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So we're here today with two St. James middle school mothers, and you are,
I am mom to student 1. My name is Kylie Weber.
and you are.
And I'm the mom to student 2. My name is Jennifer Florian.
So you've heard your daughter's statements, and I know you're somewhat biased as parents. Would you consider your children problem children?
I would not. I mean, my daughter's not perfect by any means. And in the household, we are guilty until we're proven innocent. But I do not believe in my heart that they had anything to do with this.
Okay.
And
Ma'am?
I feel the same way as Miss Kylie. You know, I know she's done, where nobody is perfect, and she is not either. But as far as this situation goes, I mean, we have talked about it thoroughly in our house and questioned her. And I do not believe in my heart that any of these girls were involved in this, that their only involvement was doing what they were told to do by the school, was that if they see something, they should say something and report it.
Okay, so we've heard their statement. How did each of you get notified that your child, we'll start with mother 1, Kylie. How did you get notified that your child was being detained?
I got notified by a phone call at 2:30 p.m. The assistant principal called me on the phone and said there was a situation that happened at 10:30 that they were investigating it. I asked them what the situation was. They said that they had found a threat on the wall that said there was going to be a school shooting. And I said, well, did my daughter write it? And she said, I can't tell you no, she didn't, but I can't tell you yes. And then I said, do you think she did it? And she again said, I think I would get an attorney.
Do you believe it happened at 10:30, correct?
It did.
And you were notified at 2:30 p.m.
2:30 p.m.
Do you feel like you were given immediate notice that?
I do not believe I would. If they would have called me at 10:30, I would have been there at 10:35. I only live 5 minutes from the school.
Were the police called before you were brought on the school campus?
Yes, they were.
Had this police already interrogated your child before you were brought on the school campus?
Yes, everyone did.
Do you believe, Kylie, that you should have been in the presence with your child when the police interrogated her?
Absolutely, and I think we should have had the right to have an attorney.
And your parental rights were maybe, I'm asking, do you believe your parental rights were violated by the school?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And mother number 2, how were you notified?
We actually were not notified by the school. I received through the Power School app a notice that my daughter had been marked absent for her social studies class.
And what time did you get this
So
notice?
this was about, I want to say somewhere somewhere around noon, if not shortly before noon.
So your daughter's been out of school for an hour and a half, and you're now being notified that she's not in school.
Just that she was not present in her social studies class, since she did have some problem with bullying in the class before. My husband was actually still home because he was still on paternity leave. So we had thought that maybe something had happened with the bullying situation. I called her guidance counselor to see if she was in her presence. She said no, but let me figure this out for you. I'll call you back. I received a phone call back from her stating that she was with administration, but she did not know what was going on, and someone from administration would call me. We waited over an hour, it was about an hour and a half, heard nothing, so I called this same guidance counselor back again to let her know. Still haven't heard anything, I want to know what's going on. Again, she had said someone will call you. We waited about another 20 to 30 minutes, there was no call, and at that point my husband, who is my daughter's father, had enough, and he just left and went to the school.
Okay. How was he greeted at the school?
To my knowledge, he was greeted fine at the school.
Was he notified about your daughter's situation?
No, he had to go up to the desk and say, listen, my name is, my daughter is, we've been calling, we don't know what's going on, I want to know what's happening with my daughter. And then he quickly got ushered into one of the assistant principal's offices, where then they talked to him. And then at that point let him know what's going on, but honestly not even the whole story. We weren't informed how long that she would be suspended for. They didn't even at that point tell us that they were implicating her in actually writing the threat on the wall.
And she'd been interrogated for several hours by the time.
Yep, she had been she was out of class from 10:30 in the morning. Police had spoken to her, administration had spoken to her, and not once did they call. And again, my husband was on paternity leave, so we were both home, both had our phones. They did not call either one of us to let us know what was going on, or to let us know that, we should get to the school, that something had happened.
Do you believe the fact that you weren't notified was a systemic error, that it was basically just the system didn't work well, or do you believe that the system should work well and you should have been notified immediately when your child was detained?
Yeah, I think as parents we should have been notified immediately, especially with the severity of what the incident was. They're 13 years old, so you're going to read Miranda rights to 13-year-olds and expect them to fully understand what their rights are.
Right.
You know what I mean? As parents, we should have been involved so that we could advocate for our child and say, no, we're calling a lawyer. You're not speaking to anyone without representation. Just to make sure that everything was done the way it should have been done. And then in the middle of all this, unfortunately, my daughter has a 504 plan for her anxiety issues. She had an anxiety attack, which triggered an asthma attack, and they even made it difficult for her to get to the nurse. She's having a panic attack, and all they keep talking in her ear is, don't say anything to the nurse about what's going on, don't say anything. That was their focus. Their focus wasn't her health. Their focus wasn't the fact that, she's having difficulty breathing. Their focus was, do not say anything about what's going on to the nurse.
The school has a policy in which they monitor statements and things posted by students on social media. As a parent, do you think schools should have that policy, or do you think that should be a parental right?
Personally, I believe that's more of a parental right. I think as parents, it's our job, if we're going to let our children have social media outlets, that it's our job to monitor them. And of course, if we see something, of a threatening nature or something like that, of course, bring it to the appropriate authorities, be it the school or even police. But I don't think they should have the right to just automatically be checking their outlets. I think as parents, that's our responsibility and our right.
And there's a point at which common sense plays into this, correct? I mean, if your child was videoing someone in the hallway fighting, pulling hair, throwing someone, that would be something you would not approve of, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
So-
And that would be something that I would also report right away. Listen, my daughter had this on her phone of an incident that happened at school, and turn it over to them.
So, while you use discretion with your child, do you feel the school should also use discretion with your child?
Absolutely.
That's just good common sense.
Absolutely.
Do you think, let me ask this. Why was your child, why is she temporarily not allowed to attend school? What were the reasons the school gave?
The school said they believe that she is the one that wrote that threatening statement on the bathroom wall. Even though we just had one of the meetings at the school just on Thursday, we demanded to see camera footage. We sat and watched the whole half-hour segment of camera footage that they had. And I even brought up to the school administrator that was present at the meeting that not one of those girls, especially my daughter since she's the one being accused of writing it, but not one of those girls had a book bag or a purse on them. There was no bags. And when we asked our daughter about it, she told us that her book bag was in the classroom, and that she wasn't even allowed to go get her book bag. They were all escorted by the resource officer to get their bags, and then escorted to whichever room they brought them in to start questioning and searching. So they're trying to say that she did it, but the markers were in her book bag and not even in her possession until she was supervised.
Was there anything on camera that showed her writing on a wall?
No.
They have no camera footage, no evidence that she wrote anything on a wall.
No, and that was even brought up by my husband in the meeting. If he had specifically asked this administrator, is there camera footage, or did another student say, I saw her write this? And the answer was no.
Do they have any evidence of any kind that they can produce to you that proves your child wrote that on this wall?
Just the fact that one of the 3 black Sharpie markers she had matched the same thickness of the letters on the wall. But mind you, those markers were in her book bag in a classroom down the hall from the restroom.
How many students attend St. James Middle?
I honestly don't know. I believe somewhere around the 600 range.
And how common is a black Sharpie on a high school campus?
Well, actually, my husband even looked it up, and Sharpie with that exact marker, that thickness, they have made over 5.1 billion of them.
Yes.
So I would say pretty common.
So it could be that 11-year-olds to 14-year-olds, is that what's in that school?
Yeah, I believe
Could
around
be
there.
that perhaps other students could be carrying the same Sharpie.
Exactly.
Did
And
the school
maybe even on them, because it wasn't even on my daughter's person at the time. So I don't know how she was supposed to write it when it wasn't even in a different room.
Did the school search all students for the same type of Sharpie?
They did not. We specifically asked that question also in the meeting, and we were told they did not.
Were any other children searched for that type of Sharpie?
Just the 4 girls that were involved, that were in the restroom, saw it and came out and told the teacher. Those were the only girls that were searched.
If, as a student, as a parent, if as a student, you believe a child can find themselves in jeopardy by seeing something and saying something, what is the likelihood a child is going to do that?
Well, that was one of the major things that we had been talking about, since this happened, and we started getting in communicating with each other, is that, it's a wonderful policy that they tell them, if you see something, say something, because otherwise we can't prevent things from happening. However, they did exactly what they were told to do. The teacher did commend them for doing that, but how the administration handled it was the exact opposite, and in my opinion, incorrect and just the wrong way to handle it. Is they're turning it around and blaming them for doing it when they were doing what they were told. They saw something and they told the teacher right away to make sure that everybody could stay safe.
Finally, Your daughter number one is still in school, correct?
She was suspended.
For,
She was suspended for 3 days.
It was
Okay.
supposed to be like 6 days, so I wasn't even.
and your daughter is not in school.
That is correct. She is out of school suspension until we have a determination from the hearing that is supposed to take place this coming Wednesday morning.
How long has she been out of school today?
It's already been 6 days. 6 days if you count last Friday. The
Okay.
incident happened last Friday.
Do either of you parents feel like your children were given due process?
No, not at all.
No.
Okay. Anything you'd like to add?
Well, student 1 was suspended because they accused her of posting on Snapchat. I have my daughter's Snapchat and I monitor her like a hawk, especially after fighting this process. They should see what kind of parent I am. And if I would have seen any kind of threat on her story, I would have been in the school immediately within 5 minutes. Flip side, if it was posted on Snapchat and it was a real threat and she was unable to call me or text me, that could have been possibly the only way we could have found out something was wrong within the school. So I truly believe the policy needs to change, the due diligence needs to change. First off, we need an apology for sure from the school administration for how they have treated us and the kids. Even when I went to student 2 to give her a hug, because I did not believe in my heart they had anything to do with it. It was very, it just was unbelievable to me. I gave her a hug in the middle of the hallway and they threw us out, almost like we were a criminal. Principal, Miss Toggas has yet to even call me to talk to me. I tried to call her, I actually tried to speak with her on Friday during the incident and she was behind double doors closed and would not even speak to me. And I just think overall the process just definitely needs to change because this has caused a lot of stress, emotional stress on all of the families and all of the students involved.
Have you reached out to Dr. Maxey, who is the superintendent of all schools, or David Cox, the board chairman of Horry County Schools?
I did reach out to the superintendent. The superintendent referred me to a lady named Candace who gave me the appropriate paperwork to appeal the process. I have not reached out to Mr. Cox yet, but that will be my next step.
Okay. Without giving specific details, how threatening was this message on this wall? Was it very serious? Was it something of concern?
I don't believe so. I believe that it was a copycat from what happened at the high school a few days ago. I think it was probably a student that was trying to get attention, but now they brought attention to 3 girls who are completely innocent, and the person that actually did it is either sitting there laughing because they actually got away with it. I do not intentionally think that the threat was legitimate, but if it was, the school absolutely did not handle it if it was legitimate to begin with either. They automatically just blamed the people that alerted them, and then they covered it off, and they probably erased the message by now, sent a message to the parents, and that was it.